Hey, Dr. Girish, how are you?
I'm great, Jackson. How are you?
So good to see you.
See you. Great pleasure and honor to be here on this show with you.
Brilliant. I'm seeing you after what? 6 years, 7 years? After how many years?
Well, I guess, yeah, that's about the time. Yeah, you're right.
So good to see you, Dr. Girish. Okay, it's 7-2. Let's start. Let's start the show. We have people who have started to join in. Okay, brilliant. I'm just trying to see it on my another monitor. Yeah. All right. Okay, it's Friday. It's Friday, 7 p.m. I welcome everyone to the Jackson Robin Show. Today's topic is how to hack our brain for success. And my guest for today is Dr. Girish Nair. He is a lead consultant neurologist at Apollo Hospitals Belapur and Neuro One Boutique Neuroscience Clinic at Kharghar, both in Navi Mumbai. He has trained in neurology at Bombay Hospital under Dr Nadir Bharucha. He has been in active clinical practice for the last 13 years. He has been a part of clinical trials in dementia and multiple sclerosis. He is passionate about wellness and prevention in neurology, and his core areas of interest are stroke, multiple sclerosis, and dementia. Dr. Girish, thank you so much for joining in, and I'm super happy to see you live after so many years. And tell us, how have you been?
I've been great, Jackson. The feeling is entirely mutual. It's a great pleasure to connect with you again. I remember you as this person with this great commitment and focus on fitness, and that's how we connected in the gym. And of course, we've had a great friendship going on after that as well. I've been great, and we've traveled our different paths, but it's wonderful to be on this show here. Today with you, and I've seen your journey from being an employee to an entrepreneur and making a great success of it. And a lot of what you've done in your life has been a source of inspiration for me. So congratulations to you, Jackson.
Thank you so much, Girish, and I'm inspired by you as well. I mean, after seeing you, I can assure you that I don't see even an inch here and there. You look the same. You look fit. You look fit after so much of stress and workload. You've still managed to stay fit, and that is what really motivates me about you. I still remember those old days when I used to see in the gym at 6 a.m. or
Yeah.
sometimes at 10 p.m. and you've been that kind of a person who was really committed to fitness, and I'm really inspired by that story, Girish. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you so much.
But the feeling is mutual, Jackson.
So my audience today is really interested to know how to hack a brain for success. Now, Girish, I'll tell you, I have heard a lot of doctors, motivational speakers, and trainers and coaches talking about wiring and rewiring your brain. Rewiring your mind, rewiring your brain. Before we get into the core concept of or the importance of rewiring the brain, I want to understand from you what's your perspective and what do you think is the real difference between wiring and rewiring the brain?
Wow. I think this is a very, very good question, a very relevant one, especially when we are talking about how we can hack our brain for success. See, the wiring of the brain or the natural state of the brain refers to the default mode of thinking that we as human beings have. And the default mode of thinking that we have is a state of learned helplessness. Now, this has been highlighted by several seminal studies in psychology, in neuropsychology, in sociology. All of these fields have come to a common conclusion about the state of learned helplessness. Now, what is the state of learned helplessness? It's also called the Pike syndrome. And I will take a moment here to highlight what the Pike syndrome is. Basically, there was an experiment that was conducted at the University of Wisconsin, which is one of the most advanced departments for experimental psychology. Now, the pike is a large fish that is found in the waters of the North Atlantic, and it typically feeds on smaller fish called minnows. Now, there was a situation where a large pike was put into a tank, and there was a glass partition created between one part of the tank in which the pike was lodged and another part of the tank where, the minnows were lodged. And the pike tried to get at the minnows, which was the feed, several times, and it would typically end up bashing its nose against the glass partition. And after a while, after repeated failures, the pike would kind of settle to the bottom of the tank and did not move. It stopped making an attempt to get the food. And then the glass partition was lifted. And there was absolutely nothing preventing the pike from getting to the minnows. But it was seen that, in fact, the minnows would swim freely around the pike. It was not that the minnows, once the glass partition was lifted, the minnows would stay to their, end of the tank. After the glass partition was lifted, the minnows were freely moving around the pike, but the pike simply refused to move and it starved itself to death. And that is exactly what happens to the human mind. There was another very interesting study that looked at the nature of experiences that a human being has growing up. So it was looked at, in fact, there was a calibration and a calculation of the kind of responses that the developing human brain gets in the first 5 years of its life. And the 95% of the inputs are negative. See, a lot of these negative inputs are well-intentioned. See, our parents don't want us to get burned, they don't want us to fall and get hurt. So you will hear things like, don't touch that, it's hot, or don't do that, you're going to get hurt. So it's always don't. And only 5% are positive or reinforcing, because across the world, across cultures, parents want the children to be disciplined, parents want the children to be safe, and a lot of things are told to little children, don't do that. And therefore, the default mode of wiring of the brain is one of negativity, of helplessness, of what we call fatalism. And that is not the right thing for success. Success is available, typically you would see, to 5% of people who are willing to step out of the comfort zone and rewire the brain. So rewiring the brain basically means that we learn to understand that 90% of the things we fear do not happen. I mean, they're just not going to happen. And of the 10% that might happen, nothing's going to kill you. The day we realize that it's our fear that's holding us back, and we are our biggest enemy, we are the biggest impediment in our growth and our success, that makes the difference between the default state of learned helplessness and the new state of expectancy, of focus, of clarity, of big dreams. And that is where you can really change your thinking. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's not like a paroxysmal shift that happens. It is a process, and it is a process that is lifelong. Because, as I told you, the default state is that the complacency, the helplessness, the procrastination that we all indulge in. Not doing what can be done right now, right away. All of these things that holds us back. I hope that answers your question about the default state of the brain, and the one where we're really proactive and stretching ourselves and stepping out of our comfort zone to achieve our goals and our vision.
Yeah, I think that was spot on. That was really spot on. For people who are watching me live on Facebook, type in the comments spot on. I think he just gave us a perfect answer to that tricky question. Now that we've understood the difference between wiring and rewiring the brain, Dr. Girish, I want to understand from you, how can one leverage our subconscious mind? Now, we have been trained, we have been told that our mind has two major components, conscious mind and the unconscious or the subconscious mind. Now, to achieve massive success, to be at the peak performance state, one has to leverage the power of subconscious mind. I want to ask you, what's your perspective on how to leverage our subconscious mind?
Wow. Again, a very, I would say, apt question, Jackson, especially when you're looking at a success focus or a success principle. Yeah, so 80 to 90% of our processing takes place at the subconscious level. To give a simple paradigm to help us understand what conscious and subconscious mind is all about, conscious mind consists of things we know. As a neurologist, I know that stroke is to be treated in this particular manner, or multiple sclerosis has to be treated in a particular manner. So things I know, and things I know I don't know. For example, I don't know how to fly an aeroplane, or I don't know how to fix my car if it's broken. So those are things I know I don't know. But 80%, 90% of mental processing is in the subconscious plane. Things we don't know. Yeah? And therefore, tend to take shortcuts. We assume. And for example, if you were to ask me today, is it possible for you to have a cash flow 10 times what you currently have in a year's time? My natural sort of response, because I do not know what is happening, 80 to 90% of what is happening is in the subconscious mind. We do not understand that. So our natural response is to calibrate or set a goal or have a dream which is based on our past experiences. And our past experiences are what we map in our conscious mind. The fact that I had an income of so much last year, an income of so much the year before last, and then I say, okay, this was possible in the past, and therefore this might be possible in the future. And that is what is known as, being stuck in cognitive shortcuts that we indulge in because we are confining our thinking to the conscious mind. The subconscious mind knows no boundaries. I mean, literally there is nothing that's impossible. Everything that you might want or wish for, have a goal, have a dream, or whatever it is that you would like to have, is possible if we can tap into the power of the subconscious mind. And how does one leverage the subconscious mind? There are several techniques. Now, I would quickly touch upon a few important principles. The actual nitty-gritty of how to do that would be available from self-help books that are specifically written. There are books on self-hypnosis. There's a very powerful book I have read several times, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy.
Yeah.
Who are on the show, if you've not read it, to go ahead and read it. But it's very, very important to meditate. Now, meditation does not mean sort of sitting stiff and it's just a state of relaxed awareness where we allow our subconscious mind to take over our conscious thinking. But again, remember, the subconscious mind is if our self-talk is negative, if the things that we repeat to ourselves is negative, the response from the subconscious mind is also negative. So in a simple sort of snippet, we leverage our subconscious mind by changing what we call our self-talk. And our self-talk, like for example, you wake up in the morning, don't even have that statement in your mind, oh, I'm late. Change it and say, everything is going to be perfect. Things are going to wait for me. I am absolutely, say the exact opposite of what you're tending to feel. Say it out loud, if you will. Write down affirmations. Get pictures of things you want and look at them, because the visual processing and the imagination takes place in a different part of the brain, and it has a very powerful shortcut into what we call the subconscious mind, which resides in the part of the brain we call the reticular activating system. So meditation, visualization, affirmation, and practicing this again and again is the way to get out of and of course, self-hypnosis is a very, very powerful technique to leverage the power of the subconscious mind and change it from that state of learned helplessness that I spoke about previously into one which is full of positive expectancy, positive energy, focus on the goal that you want to achieve, and working towards that goal with that kind of sharpness and focus that will get us our results.
Awesome. So language is very important. I read this book and the author says, don't say I can't do it. Say how can I do it. Exactly. The author says, don't say I can't afford it. Say how can I afford it. Yeah. So the way you change, the way you speak to yourself will define where you reach in life, and that's how you leverage your subconscious mind. So spot on, Girish. I'm really loving the session already. So now we have understood the power of rewiring and how to leverage the subconscious mind. I want to ask you about the ability to solve problems. Now, if you talk to people who are entrepreneurs and business owners and maybe employees also to a certain extent, the ultimate state of happiness comes from solving problems. And today, in this day and age, we are flooded with problems in our life. You have got a pandemic going in, people are losing jobs, the business people are not making money, and so on. So, from your experience and from your knowledge, what's your perspective on the ability to solve problems? In a very simpler way, I will ask you how to solve problems effectively with the help of your mind.
Wow. Well, it's a very important truth, Jackson, that our life. I would say that people are in three stages in life. You're either in the middle of a crisis, or you're emerging from a crisis, or you're on the threshold of a crisis. That's how life is. So let's understand that there will be problems. Even the most successful person in the world has problems, and no one is without problems. But it's our attitude to these problems that makes all the difference. The moment you have a problem, don't even call it a problem, call it a challenge, because a challenge is something that is positive and that seeks a kind of a response and a problem-solving mindset. So the moment we have a challenge, we formulate a solution. Let's say today, whatever it might be, the pandemic. Let's talk about the pandemic. So do not flood your subconscious mind and your conscious mind with alarm of people dying and all of those negative things. Yeah, it doesn't help anyone. Look at what the solution is. There is a solution. You can prevent the infection to a good extent if you're just very disciplined about hand hygiene, by ensuring that your nose and your mouth is covered at all times, your eyes are covered, use a protective shield. Do these things. It's just simple things, taking action, taking ownership, taking action. Second thing, improve your health, because if you're healthy, if you have a good immune system, the virus will not attack you, or if it does and you do have an infection, you will have a very mild form of the infection. So again, look at solutions. Don't look at the problem. Formulate the solution and then only talk about the solution and how to get to the solution. So basically, it involves a change in thinking, focusing on what is within control, taking ownership, avoiding procrastination, and getting to move in the right direction. So if you ask me, the moment you're faced with a problem, I do things like I kind of visualize what I want. Like, I want the pandemic to be over. I want to be able to move around freely. I want to ensure that I am healthy and people I love, my family, my friends, my associates, my practice, my business, everything, has to be healthy. I've written it down. I've powerfully visualized it. And once I've done that in the form of a dream in my imagination, I bring it, I make it more objective, I make it a goal. And then I have a strategy to get there. So that is how I would look at an effective problem solving mindset. It's not, we've got to move out of a project mindset into a process mindset. A project mindset means that I have this problem and I have this sort of solution to it and I get there. But a process mindset means that I start on my journey. I may have a problem. Doesn't mean I let go of my goal. I work around it. If necessary, I would take a Swiss Army knife and hack through the forest and create my path so that I can get to the destination that I have seen. So I never lose sight of the destination. The path that I might have to take, the route that I might have to take might change. So I have to be flexible. I have to learn to rethink, maybe recalibrate, but never lose sight of the destination, never lose sight of your dream, never lose sight of what we set out to achieve, even if we have to take a detour, if we have to sometimes slow down, if we have to change our strategy, but never lose sight of the destination. And that is how we solve problems effectively.
Superb. So first you visualize the solution before you jump into solving the problem. That's the first takeaway. And the second key takeaway is you have to get rid of the product mindset and get in the tune of process mindset. And that's where you solve problems effectively.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Now, here, Jackson, I call it learned expectancy and learned optimism. So optimism is, a lot of people define optimism as the opposite of pessimism, but I feel that optimism, the opposite of optimism is complacency, a lack of trust, a lack of faith, a lack of belief. These are things, and procrastination, because you must have heard of the statement, you must begin with the end in mind. I will change that to make a different statement. I will say that you must start with the end secure. And optimism is not an expectation that something positive is going to happen in the future. It is a very clear understanding of what you want the future to be like, and it is a very powerful life force which bends the future. I mean, the natural course of events could be something, you could be in an uncomfortable or a bad situation right now for things beyond your control. It is only temporary. You have the power to change it. So optimism means that I bend the future. I do not accept what, quote, destiny has charted for me. I bend the future and build what I want for my dreams, for my family, for people I want around me.
Superb. I'm reading all the comments, Dr. Girish, and people who are watching us live are loving it already. People are really, sending amazing comments on your experience and expertise. People who are watching us live, type in the comment, process mindset. I want you to accept this amazing learning type in the comment process mindset. Life is no longer about having a project mindset. You need to develop and master process mindset. So, Dr. Girish, we have learned the importance of rewiring the brain. You have trained us on how to leverage our subconscious mind. We've also understood the key areas we need to work on in order to solve the problems. If I want to ask you, give us list of activities that are required to kind of supercharge our brain. What would you say?
Wow. So that's a very, very relevant question, Jackson, because unless you have a healthy body, your brain is not physically healthy. So I talk about the 4 pillars of neurological wellness. The most important, I would say the most important, all of them are equally important. The first pillar I talk about is exercise. Our bodies were made to move. The moment we stop moving, we corrode from within. So 2 or 3 things I will say: deliberate physical activity, 45 minutes to 1 hour a day, preferably in the morning, within an hour of waking up, is shown scientifically to have phenomenal benefits in terms of preventing the aging process, reversing neurodegeneration, decreasing your risk for stroke, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, several types of cancer. Huge benefits. So 45 minutes to 1 hour a day of moderate to high intensity physical activity. Now, what is moderate to high intensity physical activity? Any activity which causes your heart rate to go up by 70 to 100%. So examples are brisk walking, running, cycling, swimming, dancing, weight training. That's the kind of activity you're looking for. A lot of people here in India would like to know the effect of yoga. Yoga is amazing. It's very, very good. It's great stretching. It's very powerful. It relaxes you. But in terms of the acceleration of heart rate that one would like to achieve for brain health, yoga doesn't really make it there. So if you are practicing yoga, I'm not asking you to stop it. Do it by all means, but also add a 45 minute to 1 hour of, a cardiovascular activity. That would be the thing with exercise. The second thing is nutrition. Now, again, I would like to, I don't want to say something negative, but India, the state of public health in India is very, very poor. We are the youngest nation on the face of the earth. Unfortunately, we are also the world leaders in practically every lifestyle disease. We are home to 27 to 28% of the world's diabetics, when we are only home to around 15% of the world's population, which means that our burden of diabetes is almost double that faced in other parts of the world. We also have a very, very high incidence of high blood pressure. Most of the high blood pressure is not even known, it's not even diagnosed. We call it the iceberg phenomenon of high blood pressure, because just about 10% of people who really have high blood pressure get diagnosed, get treated. The heart attacks, we are the heart attack capital of the world. An average Indian suffers a heart attack nearly 20 years before a comparable person in the West suffers it. And similar story with stroke, with cancer, with arthritis, every major lifestyle disease that you can think of. We here in India either seem to be getting it too soon, we suffer more severe forms of the condition. So all of this is closely related to our lifestyle choices. So we tend to be largely sedentary. I covered the point about sedentary nature of activity just a minute ago. The second thing is nutrition. We suffer a big nutritional gap. For example, the World Health Organization recommends a 1 to 1.2 gram per kilogram body weight of protein, which translates for a 60 kg person to about 70 to 80 grams of protein a day. We have data from the Indian Council of Medical Research and the National Institutes of Nutrition that a good quality Indian vegetarian diet hardly provides about 25 grams of protein a day. A good Indian non-vegetarian diet provides about 35 grams of protein a day. Whichever way you look at it, we are at least 50% deficient. So that needs to be taken care of. Phytonutrients. Again, this is a World Health Organization report that the third most important cause for preventable, morbidity, which is death and disease in India, next to diabetes and high blood pressure, is a deficient intake of fresh fruit and vegetables. The World Health Organization recommends about 8 to 10 serves of organically grown fruit and vegetable of 5 to 6 different colors. I don't think we do that even in a week. We're supposed to do that every day. So deficiency of phytonutrients, deficiency of minerals and vitamins, deficiency of the good fat, the omega-3, which is very, very important for brain health, heart health, every organ system that you can think of. We are faced with an epidemic of fatty liver. Every other person who has an ultrasound of the abdomen done for some other reason is diagnosed with fatty liver, so much so that people think it's normal. No, it's not. In India today, unfortunately, there are more people who get cirrhosis of liver failure because of a condition called non-alcoholic fatty liver and non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. So basically, there's a huge amount of nutritional intervention that we need to do in terms of correcting our diet. The third area, the third pillar of neurological wellness is what I call the mind-body connection. So the stress that we face in our lives today is a big killer. Now, what happens when you're faced with chronic stress is that the body secretes toxic levels of the stress hormone, which is called cortisol. So small amounts of cortisol are secreted in pulses is required for us to stay healthy. But when you're constantly stressed, you're constantly worried, and you're not getting enough sleep, your diet is bad, you have toxins in your body because you're smoking or other substances or alcohol abuse, exposure to all screen times, the blue light from your mobiles, televisions, laptops, and all of those. These cause toxic levels of the stress hormone, which then is responsible for a lot of problems that we face. And lastly, what I call the power of association. Now, again, there was this Harvard University study that found that your health, your wealth, your lifestyle, your finances, your relationships typically tend to be the average of 6 of your closest associations. So if you deliberately associate with people who are fit, you deliberately associate with people who are successful, you deliberately associate with people who have good relationships, you by default will end up having all of this. So let's get deliberate about positive associations with people who are successful in the way we like them, we want to be successful ourselves. So this put together form the 4 pillars of neurological wellness, and that is what will help us supercharge our brain. To kind of summarize a very, very long answer that I gave to your question: exercise, adequate nutrition, I would say, mind-body association, so ensuring that you're getting adequate rest and away from all those toxic activities that I just told you about, and deliberately associating with positive, reading self-help books, listening to the right kind of motivational audios, and the power of association that comes through all of that.
Amazing. Wow. Dr. Girish, I think I am having an amazing time listening to you. It's all, it's going back to the drawing board and listening to a teacher who's teaching you all the good things in life. So I'm super impressed listening to your answers. So for people who are watching me, I want to challenge you. It's not easy to supercharge your brain. It's not difficult either. You can make a difference in your life. The word is act. You have to act now. He spoke about exercise, he spoke about nutrition, he spoke about associations, he spoke about mind-body connections. At the end of the day, you need to act now if you want to supercharge your brain. Type in the comment act if you are willing to act now. Type in the comment act if you are willing to challenge yourself and do everything that he just said in order to supercharge your brain. Dr. Girish, thank you so much. But before I let you go, I have a very important question to ask. And I don't know, will you answer me from your medical background or from your professional background or from your entrepreneurial background? I want to ask you a very simple and a very relevant question that I'm often asked from all the youngsters who are starting new in their life and business, is how to become smarter and achieve massive success. Now, this could mean in all walks of life and business. What's your answer to this?
Wow, great question. I would you kind of a little bit spot because I'm going to answer with all my 3 backgrounds put together so that I can give you a complete answer of how I think about this myself, and maybe that would answer your question adequately. Most of us use less than 8% of our brain power. So when someone that they're not smart, you're completely wrong, because you have 92% of your intellectual abilities that are lying dormant. You've not used them because A, you don't know it exists, B, you do not know the techniques to make it sort of work for you. So, what is the formula to become smarter and achieve massive success? Have big dreams. Today, I would challenge anyone who's listening in, to go home, buy a notebook on the way home, or order one, or pick up one that you have, and I challenge you to write down 100 dreams. If time and money are not a constraint, you have all the money, you have all the time in the world, because we will get that if we are motivated by a clear dream. Write down 100 dreams. I mean, you could even segment these dreams into things you want to have, things you want to do, and things you want to become. Whatever it is, I mean, do not allow any kind of constraint to come in the way. I mean, have the most ridiculous dream. It could be something as simple as buying a pair of designer shoes, or it could be something as big as owning your own yacht or your own personal private jet. I'm just giving you some ideas. Don't be restricted by thinking, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that, I cannot do. No. If time and money were not a problem, what would you want your life to look like? Become a big dreamer, have a huge dream, and write it down. The next step is to visualize it, to imagine. I mean, these days we are blessed because we have access to technology that gives us such great images on maybe Pinterest or wherever. Go around. I mean, look at those beautiful homes, look at those beautiful cars, those beautiful yachts, those beautiful jets, those amazing places in the world. I mean, Switzerland, Vienna, the Himalayas. Let your imagination run wild, places you want to travel. So visualize and create a dream book, because when you look at and visit your dream every day, wake up in the morning, give yourself 10-15 minutes of looking at what your dreams are, what your goals are. And once you have a dream, the next step is to set a goal. Meaning, let's take an example. I would like to have a private jet, right? The next question to ask, research and find out is, what is the kind of cash flow I will need to have in order to actually own a private jet? With no debt, no stress around it. It should just be a natural thing. I shouldn't care if it's being used or not being used. Talk to people who have the financial intelligence to tell you the kind of cash flow you will need. That is setting the goal, from dream to goal. And then we have to have a strategy, right? How does one get there? What is the strategy? Once the strategy is in place, what is the vehicle? Actually, vehicle and strategy kind of the same thing. But yes, and then put a timeline to it. Once you've put a timeline to it, we break it up into smaller parts. And finally, we break it up into what we do in a year. And then we break that yearly goal into monthly goals and weekly goals and daily goals. Once we've done that, the principle of the slight hedge. I mean, again, this is a book I love. I've read it 10, 15, 20 times. I forget the number of times I've read. It's called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Basically, it tells that life, most of us think that we are stable, we're kind of maintaining. But no, that's not what happens. You're either on the upward curve or you're on the downward curve. What is comfortable today is designed to make you uncomfortable, frustrated, and unhappy tomorrow if you continue to indulge in that. And what seems uncomfortable today is what will make you comfortable, wealthy, successful, and help you realize your dreams tomorrow. So stretch yourself, step out of the comfort zone, dare to dream big. Dream big, have a big goal, have a smart strategy, identify the right vehicle, break down that task into daily, disciplines, daily goals, daily actions, daily focus. And another beautiful book that I would like to refer to is Bounds by Matthew Syed, where he says that talent is a myth, it's overrated. Success is just pain by numbers. In order to be successful, a world leader in any field, you need 10,000 hours of focused practice, feedback, practice, calibration, and that's what creates champions, maestros, world leaders. And it is 92% of our brain power is lying underutilized, unutilized, undiscovered. Why live an 8% life when you can live 100%? And that is how you become smarter, because you just unleash and harness the power of what is within you. And that's the route to massive success. And anyone can do it. All you require is a big dream, a big goal, a smart strategy, and the discipline to work on it every day.
Wow. I just thought I have bought a seminar ticket. I'm listening to one of the top 5 billionaires in the world, and you gave me that experience, Dr. Girish. I mean, it is amazing, amazing, amazing listening to you. And I think what I really like about you is your answers are not based from one approach of life. You bring holistic approach to your answers, and that is what helps you stand out in whatever you're doing. So that was Dr. Girish. I think he just had a network issue. Let me try to get him back. 1 second. And our time is already up. So for people who have joined in just now, you missed an amazing, amazing session from Dr. Girish. And for people who want to watch this video again, you can go back to my Facebook page, and you can have a look at the video. The video will be up on my Facebook page. And if you want to connect with Dr. Girish, I am giving you his contact details. It's on your screen. Now you can call on this number, and if you think he's really cool, you talk to his team and he will be in touch with you. Our time is up for today. Thank you so much for watching. And before I let you go, I would want you to like my Facebook page, which is Jackson Robin Official. I come live twice a week. I come live twice a week. I come live on Monday at 7 p.m. where I talk to you about marketing, and I come live on Friday at 7 p.m. where I get people like Dr. Girish Nair, and I get thought leaders who can help you grow in all walks of life. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you loved the session today. Dr. Girish had to exit because he had some network issue, but I'm very happy that I could have him on my show today. And if you liked today's session, put a comment with your feedback. If you think this video can help your friend, your colleague, do share this video on your Facebook wall, because we want people to achieve success and we want people to get what Dr. Girish had to say today. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.